Hey, Verified News community. VNN Oklahoma's Brittany Harlow here for VNN Live to bring you some VNC updates. VNC is for Verified News community. That's you, everyone watching this video live, later, everyone who's plugged into our news, what we're doing to change the news industry, doing news differently. I like to start the conversation off VNN Live by inviting you to be a part of the conversation. That means dropping a comment in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking about what we're talking about, the news and updates that I'm bringing you that we're very excited to bring. And you can also email me. Check in my email here, bharlow@verifiednews.network up there on the screen. Now or later, email is probably the technology I am most addicted to, oddly enough. It wasn't until I watched that documentary about Facebook and social networks um, that I realized that email can be just as addictive as like Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So some of the things that we try to do at VNN, Verified News Network, which of course, if you're unfamiliar, we are an independent news organization that is really a social news media company because we operate through a social news media platform that we hope that you're not addicted to. And we don't try to make you addicted to it. We want you to come in to our network and our platform and the news and information that we're putting out at your leisure. Enjoy it, use it to gain perspective that you're not gaining elsewhere with your other news media, but certainly don't want to be causing you any problems. And so that's a big goal that we're trying to solve, in addition to making news better, is making social media better. But email, still heavily addicted, probably should put a lock on my phone or something. That being said, even if I don't answer it all the time, I do answer my emails in a very timely manner. And there's a good chance that if you email me during this live stream, that I will either email you back or acknowledge what you're saying on air. So yeah, bharlow@verifiednews.network. Great way to reach me while you're online, getting some information about what we're doing. Please make sure to go to verifiednews.network and subscribe. That is the biggest way that you can show support for our network and what we're trying to do for the news industry, for the social media industry, for media in general, and how we're trying to make things better and really be a community service for the public, for our local communities, especially those who haven't felt like they've been a part of the news ecosystem and have not really benefited from media in general. We're here for you. That's a big part of what we do. But the best way to stay connected is subscribing. It's free to subscribe. Verifiednews.network is where you can put your email address in. You'll get news, updates, information, education, all things media, and a lot of good stuff that's going on in our local communities. So I mentioned before that we have a social news media app. It's just called the VNN app. And it's not on Android, it's not on Apple in the way that you have to like go to the store, download it, constantly update it, have it take a huge amount of space up on your phone. We have what's called a progressive web app. So it's essentially a website that is a mobile application. And so you're able to go to app.verifiednews.network. You can bookmark it and interact with it just like any other social media platform. Only we're designed exclusively for Verified News. You can go set up an account. It's free to sign up. That way you can have your own profile, set up your profile picture, short bio. You can start commenting, being a part of our community moderation system, give us feedback, like articles. So that's all done at app.verifiednews.network. And then, of course, progressive web apps, you can actually save it to your phone like a regular web app. And you can find more about that on our website too at our kind of how it works page. But I do want to, this is what it looks like on the screen here, our the VNN app. And so first story I wanted to tell you about, really great job by Big If True. We partnered with Big If True for the last, I want to say it was 3 months for this project called um, From Adversity to Entrepreneurship, exploring that pathway and the benefits of people who overcome adversity turning to entrepreneurship, whatever that passion may be, and how much they help their community and other people that have experienced adversity as well. And so I'm going to actually click on this page here so that you can see this story by Molly Bryant with Big If True. Um, she's done 3 stories as far as like contextual reporting. She tackled that contextual reporting, really explaining in depth why there's so much adversity here in the state of Oklahoma. And so she had done one on mental health services regarding female incarceration. Another one was basically the status of the attacks on tribal sovereignty and the efforts to really diminish the culture and livelihood of indigenous people here in Oklahoma. And then this story just came out, which is how funding mental health services could reduce overall incarceration in Oklahoma. So she had 2 stories, 2 local families that she spoke with about their struggles, and it is just so in depth and really was eye opening for me. So I was so excited that Big If True got to hop on this because I'm just blown away with their in-depth reporting, and I learned so much from this that a lot of things that I had no idea about. So I encourage that you to check it out. And as just a kind of quick explainer of our app, this is just what a regular story looks like. Here is an article. It shows the ability to like it, interact with it. You can click on Big If True, who is one of our affiliates for Verified News Network. And so you can see all of the reporting that they've done was really, really top notch. And then, of course, I had a partnership on one of the stories that we had done as far as that contextual reporting. And so we have another cool thing that I'm going to go into, which is VNN collaboration, is where, as opposed to that story that you just saw, which was all Molly, I worked more with her on the indigenous story that she did. VNN being a Muskogee Creek citizen-owned news company. We really push for more indigenous news coverage, more indigenous perspective, since that is a huge coverage gap as far as in-depth reporting and really perspective in the state of Oklahoma, despite the fact that 10% at least of the citizens here in the state are indigenous. 10% is a huge amount. I want to say that Oklahoma is second in the United States for having that high population of indigenous citizens. So I do want to say, what was that? Searching. So this was the story that Big If True had done, but we, again, me being a VNN journalist, we have journalists who, like myself, create original reporting, but we partner with affiliates from other news organizations as part of the different user categories that we have on the VNN app. And so you can see VNN collaboration, and we have a few of different things. And this user account is specifically for collaborative efforts from different organizations, journalists combined. So pretty cool teamwork. I love collaborating. It always brings so much more benefit, so much better coverage, and to any project that I'm doing. And so another cool story that I just wanted to mention real quick, and it's also kind of tied to our Fate series because we had an event, in-person event, and that's the part of the series that I kind of ran, was our learning series and sessions that we had in Tulsa and Okmulgee. And I'm so thrilled to see that this is happening in Okmulgee, one of the places that we focused our learning. It's a rural area as opposed to Tulsa, which is the second biggest city in the state of Oklahoma. But there's a really cool new co-working space coming to downtown Okmulgee. I'm so excited because when I was looking for that project and kind of looking for the needs for people who want to become entrepreneurs, I noticed that there was not really a co-working space there. There was no just for all the surrounding county members, community members. That was a big thing that was missing, and so this is coming in the works right now. I'm really excited to uh, eventually go down there and do the story about when it opens because it definitely seems like this kind of a three focused co-sharing, creating space is going to open up so much more opportunity for this area. So that's pretty much some good stuff that's coming out of our app this week. I always like to kick it off with some learning that way. And I can, if you can't see my shirt here, repping the blocks. That's another update that I wanted to give you guys. I'm going to open it up here. You can see, if you haven't gone on Facebook, Beta Blocks is an organization that we talk about a lot. We competed on a reality TV show for startups, entrepreneurs last year. It's currently airing right now through the Blocks app and the Blocks show on Facebook. Let me see if I can I scroll? Heck yeah, I can. So you can see, I hope the audio is not, it might be playing over me. I don't really know. But it was so fun filming this, and they've recently, I've been dripping them out. Whoa, party, that was a celebration night. Hey, there I am. um, but this was a really great experience. I loved it. It's airing now, the finale. If you have seen it, you gotta let me know how you thought that I did, because I will tell you that I did make it pretty far. 20 Entrepreneurs, season 2. Such an experience. There's really no words, and I'm a writer, so but you can see how I did in that final season premiere, season finale. That everything from the premiere to the finale is right there on that page. You just go to the Beta Blocks page. I've also been sharing them on the Verified News page and the Brittany Harlow page. They've been dripping them out. And so I'm going to be sharing that last one here in a couple days. But if you can't wait to watch them in order and you just want to skip to the finale and see how I did in the end, then you can just go to the Beta Blocks Facebook page and look at the season finale there for season 2, or you can just also download the Blocks app, which is this really great free resource where you can binge watch all of the shows. They're coming out with more seasons. They're currently filming more seasons right now, so I'm so excited to see all these entrepreneurs that are going through the experience that I went through. And I wouldn't, I learned so much as taking part in that show and competing and growing, that I really encourage anyone who can take part in that show and that experience to do so. So that being said, I got some other big news. And I kind of been burying the lead here. And part of what we do at Verified News Network is not only trying to better our communities through news information, but we really have to work hard to better ourselves. Because for me, I worked as a journalist in traditional news for 4 years before I came to VNN and launched it with a couple other people. And I worked in radio for a year, then I worked in TV news for 3 years. And so I have a lot of news experience, but the news industry is a beast, and there's so many things that are changing, so many things that, went wayward of the core mission of helping people and serving people through news and information. And there's so much to fix, so much to figure out. So as we're sitting here doing, news and my passion, which is journalism and local community journalism, um, news service for the people, in-depth investigations, uncovering things, sharing them to the public that would otherwise be uncovered and remain hidden. Um, and a lot of these are really crazy stories. Like, uh, for instance, one of the stories that we're working out is the crimes during the allotment times back in the early 1900s here in Tulsa, and that is something that I'll be talking a lot more in depth about soon, and that we've already started sharing the organization that we're working with to put these stories out. Honestly, if you can hear me, I sound a little sick. Been sick for 3 weeks. I'm waiting for my voice to heal so I can go ahead and track this amazing story that I wrote last week and start putting it together and publish it to share it with you because it's just one of many um, in this space. But I don't want to record it when I'm sounding like crap because I don't want it to distract away from the story. And so hopefully my voice will get better in a day or two and I can put that project out and finish filming it. I also am waiting to hear back from a mining company or some information about a mining company that's tied to the story that I have requested from the Secretary of State, which still hasn't gotten to me yet. So that's a pretty big part of the story that I couldn't finish without it anyway. So but that's going to be coming, and these are the stories that we tell that should be told, and they should have been told a long time ago, but no one tells them, and it's a lot of the times it's because um, they ruffle feathers. They're complicated. They're complex. Um, a lot of people want to have stories like these stay buried because it helps uh, keep the status quo. But the status quo is not great for a lot of people, and that is why we exist to uh, share these stories that say, listen, things need to be righted for everyone. We need to make this world as right as possible. And you don't do that by covering things up and hurting people and just keeping up with that status quo that keeps people down and buries the truth. And a lot of people struggle, even still today, 100 years later. And I would say it's not even more than 100 years later, honestly. I'd love to say, 125 years later, 150 years later, but it's barely been 100 years. And it hasn't even been 100 years for some of the pain that was inflicted upon some of these communities. And of course, this particular example I'm talking about is the indigenous people here in Oklahoma, especially right for this focus of this project is the Muskogee Creek Nation citizens from back in the day in the Tulsa area. Tulsa I love it. I love the city. There's so many great things to do. There's so many, great venues. It's just like a place on the map. But I see all this being built and all of this progress, and it's incredible and what the city is doing. But on the other hand, you have people like the Lucinda Hickory Research Institute, and that again, that's not a person. You have people like Tatiana behind the Lucinda Hickory Research Institute that are trying to raise attention like, hey, this Tulsa is great, but Tulsa got so much wealth and became so successful and has all of these things today because of these terrible, heinous crimes that were committed against the Native American people who lived here and were forcibly removed to this area uh, during the forced relocation, during the Trail of Tears, during all of those terrible um, crimes that were committed then against them, and they were brought here, and then oil and coal and natural gas and all this stuff was discovered, and then more crimes were committed against them, and their lands were stolen, and they were murdered over it. And you hear, I started looking into this. The state of Oklahoma kind of that history was thrust into the limelight again when Leonardo DiCaprio was here filming Killers of the Flower Moon, and um, with the Osage Nation and how all the murders and the crimes that were committed after, the oil was discovered there. And I was like, wow, that's crazy that that happened there and it was so documented. But the craziest thing was it happened right here in Tulsa, too. And it was also very documented. The documents are out there. There's just not enough people reading them and having access to them and realizing that those stories and I mean, outside of the indigenous community, because I talked to Tatiana with the Lucinda Hickory Research Institute, and she will constantly say that those stories are in those communities. Those stories are passed down in those communities on the regular, especially through her advocacy and her research work. It's just not known very well outside of those communities. And so that's kind of a big area that we're going to be focusing on as far as giving you an update and in our coverage. Expect to see a lot more because that is a big project and that's going to take a lot of time and it needs to be done because people like Tatiana shouldn't have to do this work alone. And I'm really excited to be able to partner with her in the future on this first story, and which I'm hoping will be the first of many more. We're working to hire an Indigenous reporter, and of course, in order to do that, we need more funding because that's very important. I feel like that to not only tell Indigenous stories, but to have Indigenous people on our team that are telling Indigenous stories. That's something that we got a lot of feedback for. That's really important. So that's something that we're going to try to do. Uh, if not at the end of this year, definitely next year. Um, but so we're really excited to be able to bring this news and information, and it's shocking. I feel good about it today, but when I'm in this story and I'm researching this story, um, not just this story, but all of these stories, like it's crazy how fired up I get and how like I just feel like screaming because it's so messed up what happened. And those emotions, are, I mean, I have a lot of empathy, but of course, I also, like I said, we're a Muskogee Creek Nation citizen owned news company, and that's through my husband, who is our president and CEO, Kelly Tidwell. And so I have it from just the human aspect of this really messed up history that happened, but I also have it from this was his family that this was done to as well, in Muskogee, Oklahoma. This was uh, my son whose allotment was wrongfully swindled away from uh, my husband's family back in the 1900s, and all the generational trauma that I'll talk about one day, uh, as kind of the personal side of why I'm so involved in this work, but also with, of course, not getting into all the details because they are family and they are personal. But when I was hearing Tatiana talk about the stories that she has heard from other Indigenous communities, it's a lot like the story um, of my own family that I have married into and have created more of through our child. But history is very important, and so even though we're news and information, a lot of the stuff that we report on is things that have never been reported on from a while back that should have been reported on. And I really encourage other people to jump on that as far as sharing this news and getting involved in other journalists just telling these stories because certainly will take a lot more people to do that. So that was kind of a long-winded VNC update about some of the coverage that we're going to be getting into soon and why. But my last update is like my really big pain point as far as a big project we're working on. And that is something through Lion and Google. And so I'm going to pull it up as far as the last thing that I'm going to update you with is the Lion GNI Sustainability Audits and Funding Program. 100 news organizations were selected to be audited, and VNN was one of them. And so it was great. I was really excited. It was quite a long process. I had to audit myself, and then I had to hop on a phone call for like 2 hours and audit myself some more. And I just recently got the new audit, like the final audit back. Gotta have to hop off here because my voice is failing me. I don't want to go into a coughing fit, but let's just say the audit was pretty harsh, and it was harsh because it was real, and it was a really good audit. And good audits will point out your good qualities, but they'll also point out your pain points and what you need to work on. And so I'm going through the audit this week, and I'm like, ouch, that hurts. I'm gonna have to really it's like putting yourself under a microscope. And so I'm continuing to do that, and it's important because this program, you get audited as a news organization, but then they fund you to actually implement some of their recommendations that will make you more sustainable as a news organization. And their recommendations are really good, but it is going to mean some pretty big changes here. Gonna have to let go of some stuff, gonna have to embrace some stuff. But of course, I'm gonna be fully transparent because I love transparency. And I'm gonna tell you everything that I'm gonna do, why I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna be great. I was really bummed like the first couple of days that I was reading that audit, but I took off my feelers cap and I put on my business cap, and I was like, this is what needs to be done. So I'm super excited to be able to implement some of these changes. I'm going to implement them all, but starting with some, and I'll of course keep you guys updated as that process continues. So thank you for sticking with me tonight for VNN Live. I'm really excited about all of these things that we got going on. And, as I said, make sure to give me a shout out, drop your opinions in the comments, and email me, like, subscribe, follow, be a part of our verified news community to the fullest. Thank you so much for everything that you do, for watching, and keeping our vision alive through your viewership. So I'll see you guys next week for VNN Live, and feel free, as I said, to reach out to me in the meantime. Talk to you guys later.